Hello, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of the Pat's Pulpit Pregame show. I am Rich Hill, and with me, as always, is my good friend Alec Shane. Alec, how you doing this week?
What did Kevin McAllister say in Home Alone right before Harry and Marv took over? This is it. Don't get scared now. Was that the line? I think that's what
it was
it is.
one of these things too. It was like, ah.
Yeah, don't get scared now. Last one of the season, Rich. Pressure's on. Pressure's on you and me. Pressure's on the Patriots. It's win or go home in all senses of the word. Are you ready for it? You ready?
Oh, I've been as ready as I've ever been. For those that aren't aware, I've been at the Super Bowl this past week. It's been a pretty amazing experience. Have a lot of people to thank. I'll cover that in my Sunday notes. But it's been really interesting getting to see all of the players up close and personal, just going to all of the media sessions with the Patriots players. And there's this degree of comfort with all of them, from Tom Brady down to Landon Roberts, down to DJ Foster. You know, everyone has this quiet confidence where no one feels like this game is too big for them. No one's awe-inspired by the fact that this is the Super Bowl. I'm a little nervous that this is having kind of a similar vibe to the Clemson-Alabama college football championship game, where you had the Nick Saban automatons versus the Clemson Dabo Sweeneys. Let's go have fun. But I don't think that the Falcons are in much better shape, because I've been getting a little bit of chatter from the younger Falcons players where you can see that, like, we're playing against Tom Brady. We're playing Tom Brady. This is amazing. But then they're like, but like, we know this. We're going to do our best. We're not going to look at it like it's a Tom Brady thing. It's just Tom Brady, but it's Tom Brady. And so I feel like the Patriots mentality is a little more consistent, a little more flowy. And so I'm pretty confident about this week.
That's good. So basically, in your opinion, the Patriots have kind of had the attitude like they've been there before, well, mainly because they have. And the Falcons are, I mean, they're saying all the right things in the media day you see on the NFL Network and ESPN breakdowns. But in terms of behind the scenes, off camera stuff, you're getting the impression that they're very excited to be there and not overwhelmed, but just kind of like allowing the moment and the emotion of the moment to kind of peek its ugly head at times. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not even saying that like the Falcons players are kind of going like out of their mind either. It's just that you can just tell in their phrases that they're using that this is more of a Super Bowl for them than it is a game. And I feel like the Patriots are approaching this more as like, no, next week. It's fine. It's another game in the season versus this is the game. I mean, they understand the magnitude of it, but they're approaching it like, no, we've done everything that we needed to get this far. We're going to keep doing it again. And speaking of doing everything they've done to get here, this has been a pretty amazing season. As far as Patriots seasons go, 2 losses in the regular season, no matter how easy the opposing schedule, that's a pretty amazing feat. They're here up against the Super Bowl again. This is their best record since I guess they had in 2010, but then they didn't make it to the conference championship game, never mind the Super Bowl. So you have the best record at 16-2 since 07, and then before that you had 03, 04. But I feel like this Patriots season has been a little under-heralded when you compare it to seasons past, where I don't think that there's really a positive storyline that's been attributed to them, which is kind of unfair because they've overcome a lot. But if you go back to like 03, 04, you have the back-to-back, you have the win streaks, you have a lot of things going their way. 07, you have undefeated. 011, like, oh my gosh, like how much they're overcoming this terrible defense. This is incredible that they've made it this far. 2014, as they came back from the dead. What is your storyline for this year's Patriots?
Yeah, it's a good question. They haven't really had to overcome too many injuries. Gronk got hurt, but Gronk always gets hurt. So that's not anything that's new or exciting, unfortunately. They haven't really had that statement win where they had to come from behind and Tom Brady had to engineer like against the Saints a couple of years ago, a last-minute touchdown drive to win it. I don't think they've trailed since November, so they haven't really had a kind of punch-in-the-mouth game. There hasn't really been any of those kind of defining moments of the year from like a macro perspective. But I think this team, probably more than any other, is a testament to the genius of Bill Belichick and the resilience and attitude and mentality of Tom Brady. Tom Brady's 39 years old. He'll be 40 the next time the regular season starts up again. He's playing like he's 28. He's playing the best football of his life. That goes into the preparation and he has to go through, the mental attitude, the mental toughness he's exhibiting, and all the kind of new nuances as he ages. Father Time's undefeated, and he's doing a really good job keeping him at bay. And he has to do that more and more as he continues to advance in his career. And I think he's had to be more meticulous about that. Little added motivation, perhaps, with the suspension going through it. But I think that's the kind of the big storyline is Tom Brady's how focused, laser focused he is. And Bill Belichick, I think what a great example the 2016 Patriots are of his ability to plug and play and find guys and take other players off the scrap heap and insert them in and make them real positive contributors. You can always point to those 2 or 3 guys throughout the course of these teams of years past, but you look at Chris Hogan, you look at Kyle Van Noy, you look at Shea McClellan a little later on in the season. Deion Lewis is having another revival. The ability he has to just find guys that fit the system, get the most out of them, and ensure they are all team players that contribute toward the common goal of winning the whole thing. I think you can really look no farther than these Patriots as to the kind of pure example of how well Bill Belichick knows how to get the most out of guys.
No, those are good points. My issue with using the Tom Brady narrative, as the Deflategate revenge thing, is that it feels forced to me. It feels very, very forced that we're still talking about like, oh, Tom Brady's going to get that revenge for Deflategate, because I feel like we exhausted that storyline last year. That was 2015. This year, I feel like there was the suspension, but it was like everyone realized it was dumb at this point. There was no like, oh my gosh, this is a controversy. It was like, well, this is just stupid. All right, this is dumb. Let's get him back on the field, and we're not going to miss a beat. And I do agree with you. I think that this Bill Belichick angle is incredibly impressive. I mean, to overcome that suspension, they relied on their second and third string quarterbacks, including a game where they defeated a playoff team 27-0 on a short week on Thursday with a rookie third string quarterback. That's impressive. And then you just saw they plugged into a rookie at left guard. They've had an undrafted center. They had Shaq Mason, who has had an incredible growth period this year. Marcus Cannon has had a renaissance. Chris Hogan has emerged, as you said. Malcolm Mitchell has been a player, which everyone's like, well, Patriots haven't done this with rookie wide receivers before. And Martellus Bennett, everything that's been done on this Patriots team, I just referred to the offense, but you can look at the defense too with all the other players, trading Jamie Collins, Chandler Jones, and not skipping a beat. This is Bill Belichick's year, and he's not going to win Coach of the Year. That's going to go to Jason Garrett. We figured that out on Saturday night. And then also Executive of the Year. Who knows if it's going to go to him? Might. So I think that the season of the Patriots, this is Bill Belichick's final year, or finest year, I should say. I shouldn't say final. It is his finest year. And he has just done an incredible job building a roster. And with that in mind, what has been your biggest Patriots surprise on offense this year?
Patriots surprise on offense. I'm worried about stealing your thunder here, Rich, because you basically called this being a great contributor and a huge pickup back in August. We first started breaking this team down, but I'm going with Chris Hogan. I mean, what a gift he has been. Not only his playoff performance against the Steelers, but he's just been one of those guys that he just comes up with big plays when you need him. He's a legit deep threat. You can, I started kind of, as anyone who follows my writing knows, I do kind of a top 20 Patriots moments during the offseason where I break down my favorite 20 plays of the year. And I just started doing some rough outlining for that over this past week in between the championship game and the Super Bowl. And he's on that list a lot. I have to whittle it down a bit because he's got a lot of awesome plays. He's just kind of a highlight reel of Patriot stuff. And he's just been such a great fit in this system, does everything right, plays by the book. He's got that goofy white guy thing going that the Patriots love to have in their receiving core. He just kind of fits all the pieces, and he's been a real joy to have on the team. And I knew he'd be a factor because all Patriot receivers are with Tom Brady throwing the ball. But just what he's done with the snaps and the reps he's given far exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to Chris Hogan, he's fit in perfectly. But I think what's kind of funny with Chris Hogan is that, as you said, he's a deep threat. He's an amazing deep threat. He's the best deep threat that the Patriots have had since Randy Moss. The best deep threat that they've had, probably second best deep threat that they've had under Bill Belichick. And I feel like I'm probably guilty of this too. I feel like there is this pushback that, the deep ball is just not a part of the Patriots offense. And then surprise, here it is. He's the number 2 receiver in the offense. It's a huge part of the Patriots offense. So I just find that a little bit funny. My big surprise for the Patriots offense goes to the offensive line. I'm not fully surprised by all 5 of them. I believed that Nate Solder would rebound. I think that David Andrews has been consistent. Joe Tooney's been a rookie that I really like coming out of the draft. So I'm not really surprised by those guys. But more specifically, the growth that we have seen out of Shaq Mason at right guard and Marcus Cannon at right tackle has been astounding. They have been, and I am not exaggerating, the best right guard and right tackle combination in the entire NFL over the second half of the season. And they just have developed as players because last year they were both disasters. Shaq Mason couldn't pass block to save his life. The Patriots were using him at fullback at times. He just could not settle down. And Marcus Cannon, everyone was calling for his head to be traded. And just to see Marcus Cannon elevate his play to second-team All-Pro level, that is incredible. And Shaq Mason, everyone's going to hear his name next year because he is the best run blocker on the team. He has incredible leverage. I think that he is going to have an amazing game against the Atlanta Falcons as a run blocker because he's going to get his hands on these lighter Atlanta Falcons linebackers and just blow them out of the way for Dion Lewis to get to the second level. And so I think that we're going to really highlight the performance of Shaq Mason and Marcus Cannon during the Super Bowl. But those two and their growth and their elevation of play from the dregs of the league to being the best has been the biggest and best surprise for me on offense.
Follow-up question to that, Rich. How much of that success and improvement, and rightly so, that you just talked about, will you attribute, I guess, to break down percentage-wise, how much of it is just them putting the time in, learning the system more, whatever it is that they did, versus the re-emergence of Dante Scarnecchia along the offensive line coach?
Well, it's it is a little bit of column A, a little bit of B. But with regards to Marcus Cannon, he came in more focused this year than ever before. Dante Scarnecchia said that Cannon lost 30 pounds for this season. And so he's lighter, he's more agile and nimble than ever before. And so that's all on Cannon. And talking to the offensive line coaches, talking to Cannon, they say, I don't believe it. They say that there's not much of a difference in the technique that they've been doing. I greatly disagree with that, but who am I to argue with them? But I think that Marcus Cannon deserves a lot of credit. I also think the fact that he's healthy and he has played alongside Shaq Mason the entire season. I know that there was like 2 games worth of snaps next to Ted Karras, but really it's been Shaq Mason this entire year. I think that consistency and availability has really helped him, as well as losing that weight. But you have to appreciate Scarnecchia. I would give, the players play the game, so I would give the lion's share to Cannon and Mason, but got to give a quarter, a third, 10% to Scarnecchia and his ability to get these players in the right position, settle them down. And I think, okay, I'm just going to keep going off of this. Scarnecchia said that he's very open. It's kind of weird. He's very open about where he thought Marcus Cannon was struggling. And so as far as what his biggest problem was, he said that Marcus Cannon would get into a rut. And if Marcus Cannon made a bad play, he'd make another bad play and another bad play, and it would just spiral out of control. And that's what happened in the AFC Championship game. So Scarnecchia has determined that, big part of his job this year is to refocus Marcus Cannon and say, bad plays in the past, we're going to keep moving. And Marcus Cannon has been receptive to it, and it doesn't hurt that he's made fewer bad plays this year. So overall, Scarnecchia has kind of been like a mental coach for him, but I give most of the credit to Cannon and the linemen.
Awesome. And again, the health has been a big factor. Last year, they were just rotating guys in and out like it was a chorus line. It just wasn't even anything they could even talk about. This year, that health and consistency has definitely been a big boon. In addition to, I'm sure they kind of play off each other. There's really no way you can talk about one without the other, but having a really solid running game for the first time in a long time has really helped out as well. Big shout out to Coach Ivan Fears, the running backs coach. I think he gets no credit. He's one of those guys that everyone's talking about, McDaniels, Patricia, and Belichick, and Scarnecchia, and rightly so. But what Ivan Fears has done with that running back unit with Brandon Bolden, LeGarrette Blount, Dion Lewis, James White, how he's able to kind of understand how those guys are all contributing and getting it done. Really, really good for him as well. And I agree. I think the run game is going to be a huge factor on both sides for Atlanta and New England, determining who's going to win this game. I think the running game is going to basically be whoever wins the battle in the trenches wins this game completely. They're both very potent passing offenses, but at the end of the day, I just can't shake this feeling that whoever runs the ball best is probably going to come out on top here. Am I crazy in thinking that?
No, I don't think so. I think that you're right on point. And part of it comes down to the fact that the Patriots have one of the best run defenses in the league. They rank 4th, I believe, in Football Outsiders DVOA. So they are very, very efficient run defense. The Falcons rank 27th or 28th maybe even 29th. They are in the bottom of the league at defending the run. And the reason I like the Football Outsiders DVOA is that both the Patriots and the Falcons have played with huge leads for most of the season. And that's on the basis that they score a lot of points on offense. So the other team has to throw the ball a lot to keep up. So they don't really have a lot of rushing yards against. But when the opposing team does rush the ball, they are a lot more effective at running it versus the Falcons than they are against the Patriots. And so when you look at the importance of the players on both sides, Tom Brady is able to win games when he throws the ball 50 times a game. He is the only quarterback in NFL history with more than like 8 such games to hold a winning record. And you have players like Peyton Manning, who's like 4-15 or something like that in those scenarios. And so it's very rare for a quarterback to be able to put the team on his back in such a monstrous way. And that could be something that we see where he checks down to the flat with James White and Deion Lewis a little bit more as an extension of the run game. But with the run game, the Patriots don't need to rely on it as much, but they will be able to do it. And I think that that's a really important distinction because the Patriots, as we were talking about, Shaq Mason and Marcus Cannon are outstanding. The thing with the Falcons defense that you have to remember is that their key trait is that they are very, very fast, but they are also very, very small. And so their linebackers on average are 227 pounds. That is unbelievable. They have one player who's 222 and then someone who's 232. And you think of it like Aaron Blount's 250. If you have a fullback like James Devlin who's 260 and you have Shaq Mason and Marcus Cannon, if any of them get a hand on that linebacker, they're not breaking free because the Patriots are just going to outsize them and outmuscle them. And I think that that's going to be a really big point is that if you get LeGarrette Blount into the second level, he's just going to run everyone over and he's just going to pick up yards after yards after yards. Maybe he's not going to break free for a big one, but he's going to drag these players 4 or 5 yards down the field. And I think that's important. And you look over to the other side of it, the Atlanta Falcons, they rely on their running backs a lot. Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman combined for more yards from scrimmage than any other running back duo in the entire league. Together, they had put over 2,400 yards from scrimmage in the regular season. And that means that they are the biggest focal point, more so than Julio Jones, more so than Julio. If the Patriots can limit the Falcons' running backs, then that offense is going to get neutered. Julio can get his. And so long as he doesn't break out for like 150 yards and multiple scores, he can get 100 yards and a touchdown, and the Patriots can be fine. But a big part of that is that the Patriots will have to limit Freeman and Coleman. And so that's where the Patriots' top-ranked run defense comes into play, or top 5 ranked run defense. And I think that the way that the Falcons run the ball with their stretch zones, with their one cuts and goes, I think that the Patriots are going to use their size because, I mean, we're talking about how small the Falcons defense are. The Patriots have 350-pound Alan Branch out there. They have 265-pound Dante Hightower. So you've got a lot of these big players back there that are going to stay on their blocks. They're going to make plays. We saw that the Patriots had a lot of success slowing down that Steelers offensive line, and the Steelers offensive line is better than the Falcons. The Falcons center, Alex Mack, is their best player, and he's injured. And the Patriots were able to stop Le'Veon Bell. And I know that he left with a groin injury, but they were doing a good job stopping him before he got hurt. And I just think that overall, the Patriots are much better set up to stop the run than the Falcons are.
So you talked about kind of speed versus strength versus size on both the offensive and defensive sides of the ball, Patriots, Falcons, both, and how LeGarrette Blount, just a big size and strength matchup for these smaller linebackers. But you say they're right. The Falcons defense is fast. They're quick. They have a good front four. Dwight Freeney's like 80 years old, but he can still get after it. They have a good kind of front pass rush. They have a good front four to get in there. So my question then from there, the follow-up is LeGarrette Blount going to be the most effective Patriots running back as kind of a big bashing bruiser? Or will Deion Lewis be more effective because he can do those quick little cuts? He's really shifty. He can get into the second level and make guys miss. You can motion him out wide for quick passing, a huge coverage mismatch. Which of these two running backs, Blount or Lewis, or James White, if you think he's going to be the guy, is going to be a bigger problem for the Atlanta defense?
No, that's a good point. And I think that the fact that they're kind of knuckleballs, they're completely different runners, is going to play a very big point. Because one thing that you need to know about this Falcons defense is how incredibly young they are. There's 7 players within their first 2 years of the league. They have 4 rookies that are playing heavy snaps on that defense. And what the Atlanta Falcons want is that they want their players to read, react, and go, and to use their speed. And so if the Patriots use a lot of misdirections, they can get these players out of position. especially because they're young. So Tom Brady is going to understand how to manipulate them, because Brian Phillips, our new staff writer, found out this amazing stat that Tom Brady's 7-0 in the playoffs when he faces a defense with multiple rookies on it. And so I think that the fact that the Patriots are able to manipulate these linebackers and all of these young players means that Dion Lewis can definitely have a very, very important day. But I don't think either of them is going to be the person. I think Blount is going to be the guy in the fourth quarter because he's going to be able to. And I think we've seen in the past against the Falcons that when that defense at the end of the day, they're going to get tired, they're going to get gassed because they're running all the time. And then Blount's just going to chew them out if the Patriots have the lead. But I think that early on in the game, they're going to want to use Dion Lewis out in the flat to force these linebackers to go side to side. They want them to have to respect every inch of that field, but they're also going to use Blount up the middle, wear them down just by going right at them, right at the mouth. And so I think that they're going to use both of these players. I mean, even Blount's very capable of going to the outside, but I don't think that they'll want him running horizontally to the line of scrimmage just because there is that risk that the Falcons players are going to be quick enough to cut through. So I think when it comes down to it, there's going to be a little balance of both. I think Lewis is going to use his quickness to kind of jitterbug his way up the field. I think that Blount's just going to be a battering ram and pick up 3, 4, 5 yards at a time. So I think both of them are going to have very, very effective and important games. And Blount himself said that he believes that Lewis is going to be the unsung hero. So maybe he has a bigger role than I anticipate.
That makes a lot of sense. And again, that's kind of been the MO of the Patriots all season. They substitute Blount and Lewis out there whenever they see the best possible mismatch. Maybe we'll see Blount and Lewis out there at the same time. I don't think we've seen that. Maybe we have. I don't know exactly, but that'd be a nice little mismatch. Maybe a shotgun with Lewis on one side, Blount on the other. What do you do against that? I'm sure some new offensive wrinkles will make themselves known on Sunday's game. Switching on to that, we've got the running game kind of covered. The Patriots offense against this young Falcons secondary, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan, Malcolm Mitchell, Martellus Bennett, these passing weapons that the Patriots have going up against some pretty inexperienced but athletic and good cornerbacks. If you are the Falcons, how do you match up your cornerbacks against the Patriots receivers to best kind of minimize the damage they can do?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very tough question for the Falcons because that's not really their game. They come out of the Seattle Seahawks. They use their cover 3 style. You know, they ask each of their cornerbacks to cover deep thirds. They have a deep free safety up the middle. They ask their linebackers to do their drops. But I think that the Patriots have shown an ability to tear that up by utilizing the slot receiver position. You know, they'll use their outside receiver to clear a zone. They'll use their slot receiver to run an out pattern, and then that's just like 7 yards at a time. Pretty easy. They'll march down the field, and Julian Edelman will absolutely toast whoever is lining up opposite of him because the Falcons defense, I mean, they have Robert Alford, they have Jalen Collins, and they have, I think, Poole is their third guy. He might be their safety. But though just the players that the Falcons rely on, they're very young, they're inexperienced, and they don't really have skill sets that match up against the Patriots wide receivers. And so you look at it and you say, all right, you have kind of these taller, lankier guy, Jalen Collins. Maybe he'll get the Chris Hogan matchup, but you get your Robert Alford one who hasn't been playing too well as of late, and then Brian Poole, who's a rookie. Alfred's going to get Julian Edelman. You just have to put the veteran on Edelman. But that just opens something up where, all right, well, does Danny Amendola come onto the field too? Because the Patriots have enough players where this could be Amendola's game for the year. And then you have Amendola, Edelman, and Hogan, all 3 guys that can play inside or in the slot. And therefore, you can manipulate whatever matchup you want. And all 3 of them are more capable than Wes Welker at going down the field and getting it. So all 3 of these guys are kind of interchangeable with where they want to attack. You factor in Martellus Bennett and Dion Lewis. You have a bunch of guys that can just zip around the field and kind of manipulate and take advantage of whichever player lines up against them. So I think that the Falcons, they said this all week, they just have to play their defense. They can't get caught up into the matchups because they've used their cover 3 defense to get to where they are right now. I know they've incorporated a little bit of more man coverage, which would be most beneficial, but they've incorporated that a little bit more later in the season, but it's not where they're most comfortable. And so, they're going out there planning just to play their own defense. And so that means that they're going to do their cover 3 thing. They might have a couple players line up in man every now and then just to break up the monotony of it. But I think that if the Patriots want a certain matchup or a certain play, it will be available.
Well, Tom Brady against zone. We all know how well that works out. Let me throw this by you, Rich. In order to beat the Patriots, you're going to have to get pressure up the middle. You're going to have to hit Brady early. You're You're going to have to throw him off his game and generate pressure without blitzing too much. How's that for a crazy, innovative strategy for beating the Patriots?
Never heard of it before. That's out of left field, man. Where'd you come up with
that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the Falcons aren't really capable of that either. And I that's why I don't like this matchup. I feel like everything is pointing to the Patriots winning this one. I know that the Falcons have a historic offense, but everything to me is pointing to the fact that the Patriots can handle this defense. And I think that the Patriots defense will be able to hold the Falcons to below their record-setting performance. And I always come back to the fact that the Falcons are 1-5 this year when they score 30 or fewer points. And so if the Patriots can hold them below 30, there's a pretty good chance that the Patriots are going to win that one.
All right.
Yeah, go on.
So let's talk about that historic Falcons offense. I think that is the kind of the one of the main narratives throughout the course of Super Bowl week has been it's going to be like a 42-40 game, right? There's going to be no punts. It's going to be nonstop scoring on both sides. It's going to be just a crazy offensive shootout. I think the over/under is 59 or 60 points, which is insane for the Vegas line.
Highest under.
Yeah, which is crazy. So the Patriots are a defense who has not given up 30 points in a very long time, going up against the historic Falcons offense with these two very good running backs that are both running and receiving threats. Julio Jones, the best receiver in the game. Mohamed Sanu, who the Patriots pursued very aggressively in the offseason, couldn't quite get him. He's having a great season. In a defensive scheme that basically takes away your best weapon and forces you to beat them with your second, third, and fourth option, the Falcons have a good second, third, and fourth option. So how is this Patriots defense going to slow down this vaunted passing attack and this vaunted rushing attack, this scoring at will offense the Falcons have?
Yeah, I mean, when I just look at this Falcons team, I just see like a better version of the Steelers offense. Matt Ryan's playing better than Ben Roethlisberger. Julio Jones, for my money, I mean, Antonio Brown's incredible. You can't take it away from him, but Julio Jones is just a different type of animal out in the open field. Mohamed Sanu is better than Sammy Coates or whoever they were playing as their third guy, Darius Hayward-Bay. I mean, Mohamed Sanu is much better than those guys. Then you have Taylor Gabriel and Eli Rogers are fairly comparable, in my opinion, but Taylor Gabriel has a little bit more speed than Eli Rogers, just playing speed. And then you look at the rushing attack. Le'Veon Bell is clearly an all-world player, but the way that the Falcons are able to utilize Freeman and Tevin Coleman as a supplement to the other superior players just makes them a little bit more dangerous because you can't really hone in on them as you can with Bell, where you say, all right, well, limit Le'Veon Bell, and then you take away half of the Steelers' offense. And with this one, you can't say, oh, well, we'll just take away Freeman or take away the Falcons running back and it's all gone because they have so many other options. And the way that I just see it is that the Falcons are just the Steelers offense just cranked up to 11. And so when it comes to the matchups, I thought that the Patriots did a pretty good job against the Steelers. I know that Bell left early, but D'Angelo Williams is a very good running back in his own right. And so I think that the Patriots have a pretty solid plan and scheme where it's worked. They understand their matchups. They know that certain players are going to get theirs, but you want to limit them. You want to keep the players in front of you because the way that the Falcons kill you is with those 75-yard touchdown passes to Taylor Gabriel that you can't allow to happen. If you force them just to dink down the field with removing yards after the catch, that's what you got to go for. Take away the easy checkdowns to the running backs and force them to win with the tight ends because the Falcons play more multiple tight end sets than any other team in the NFL. So if the Patriots can kind of swarm the running back, if they can bracket Julio Jones, make him not really a desirable target, if Logan Ryan can match up well against Mohamed Sanu, then the Patriots are going to be in a pretty good shape. I know that's easier said than done.
So you said Logan Ryan on Mohamed Sanu, and that leads me to believe that Malcolm Butler's on Julio Jones.
Yes.
Malcolm Butler is 5'10", 5'11". Julio Jones is 6'3". Do you see it at Malcolm Butler, or do you see maybe my theory, at least at this point, would maybe be Eric Rowe with a safety? Even though Eric Rowe is a much bigger drop-off in talent, he's 6'1". The size difference is a little better. And if he has a Devin McCourty or a safety with him, I think between the two of them, they can at least limit Julio Jones.
No, I agree. But that's only when the Falcons have three receivers on the field, because I think that the Patriots are pretty set on having Logan Ryan matching up against Mohamed Sanu, just the whole slot sort of scenario. And because the Falcons use so many multiple tight end sets, that 50% of the time, there's only going to be 2 wide receivers on the field. And you're not taking Malcolm Butler off. So Butler gets Julio just on that basis, and then there will be safety help. I'm going to assume that the Patriots are going to play big nickel, so they'll have their 3 safeties. So I'm going to assume that Harmon is going to help out with Julio. I also wouldn't be surprised if maybe McCourty is asked to play a little bit closer to the line to take away the inside and the underneath passes. And so, yeah, when it's 2 receivers, I think Malcolm Butler is going to get Julio. But you're right. When the Falcons go with their 3 wide receiver sets, which is the other 50% of the time, I think that the Patriots are going to keep Logan Ryan on Mohamed Sanu, but they could put Malcolm Butler into the slot with Taylor Gabriel, kind of covering him like he was asked to cover Jarvis Landry of the Dolphins. So Malcolm Butler is familiar with playing out of the slot. And then, as you said, you get a more favorable matchup with the taller Eric Rowe against Julio Jones. And the question is whether or not the Patriots trust him to do that. And Eric Rowe was asked to cover AJ Green in like his first game in a Patriots uniform. So I think that there is a little bit of confidence there, but it's a matter of how the game plays out.
No, I hope so, because Eric Rowe was in coverage on a lot of those Steelers plays that probably should have been catches if not for some drops. He got burned deep, but there was no safety help. So hopefully that will be a remedying factor. Devin McCourty is going to have his work cut out for him for sure, as is Patrick Chung. I think he's going to be a big factor. He's not going to only have to play safety, but he'll probably be in a lot of that linebacker safety hybrid role, maybe knocking the running backs like you talked about earlier on in the preview, running all over the place, doing a lot of lateral stuff, covering the tight ends. Look for him to be you know what, I'm going to call Patrick Chung my defensive X factor. I just talked myself into it. He's my guy. He's got a big responsibility. I think him and Dante Hightower are going to have a lot of calls to make at the line, and hopefully he's up for it. He should be, because he's kind of been his role all season, and I think that the running backs, especially this game, offer probably the most unique threat, the combination of the 2 of them, and the fact that he has to worry about a play action to a tight end would probably also be his responsibility. He's got a lot of work to do on Sunday.
No, that's fair. My X factor is going to be Trey Flowers. I really believe in him. I think he's developed into one of the best players on that Patriots defense. I am really excited to see where the future goes for him. But just his versatility and his role in this Patriots defense as one of the key run stoppers, the fact that the Patriots feel comfortable kicking him to the inside and kind of their 5-man front, they really understand and believe that he's able to match up against these Falcons linemen. And then also how he's used on the edge as a pass rusher and on the inside as a pass rusher. And so the Patriots aren't going to blitz Matt Ryan. That's just crazy talk. But this was an interesting stat from Pro Football Focus. The Patriots rush just 3 more than any other team in the league, and it's not even close. So over nearly like a third of the time. And so the Patriots rely on Trey Flowers to provide some push up the middle. They drop everyone back. They use him kind of to help spy Matt Ryan too, or I guess I should say the quarterback. But the Patriots are in a unique situation with Trey Flowers where they just need him to kind of take over the game at the line of scrimmage. And if he does that, if Trey Flowers is able to dominate at the line of scrimmage, then I don't see any real hope for the Falcons offense.
Do you think the Patriots defensive line is a head and shoulders talent level above the Falcons offensive line?
Not head and shoulders, because I give a lot of credit to the Falcons players. Ryan Schrader at right tackle is one of the best in the league, top 3, top 5, same level as Marcus Cannon. You know, he's up there. And then Alex Mack is, for my money, top 2, top 3 center in the league, but he's dealing with a leg injury. He has a fibula problem. And so he's definitely not going to be 100%. But he's definitely going to play. And so that's something that you want to watch, where I'm curious to see if Alan Branch can just manhandle an injured Alex Mack. I'm very curious to see if the Patriots are going to blitz Dante Hightower and Kyle Van Noy up the middle and drop both the ends back, because that is something that we have not seen in a really long time. They did that early in the year, and they kind of just abandoned it as the defense kind of buckled down their stretch. So I wonder if those are connected or if they've been saving it up. But I think that the Falcons' offensive line is particularly weak at right guard. And Chris Chester, he's not a good guard. Everyone else is an above average player. And you look at the Patriots players, you have an outstanding run defense and you have a pretty okay pass rush. It's not good, but it's like average. And so I think when it comes down to it, the Patriots are the superior team when it comes to running the ball. The Patriots are going to be able to hold their ground. They're going to be able to keep in their lanes and clog it up. But when it comes to the Falcons passing attack, I don't know if the Patriots are going to be able to generate enough pressure.
That makes sense, which leads me to think that this nightmare I keep having over and over again, I think I've had it since maybe mid-September or so, just the team kept changing they were playing against. And it was a 30-28 opponent NFC lead, which is the Falcons in this case. So 30-28 Falcons lead. Tom Brady gets the ball back with 1 minute and 36 seconds and 1 timeout left on the clock. He drives the team down to the Falcons' 32-yard line with 6 seconds, and on comes Steven Gostkowski to kick the potentially game-winning field goal. And then I always wake up. I never see what happens when that happens.
What happens?
So, if that were to go down, I don't know if I would be able to, I might just faint before I even saw the result. I don't know if I can handle that kind of pressure, especially given the fact he missed the PAT in the AFC Championship game. I don't know. I just really hope no matter what happens in this game, I don't have to endure a Gostkowski field goal to win it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, so when it comes to Gostkowski, I feel like he's settled down. That miss against the Steelers just completely, I'm shook. I'm shook after that. That was his first miss since week 11. It was his only miss since week 7. And then now he has the second one right before the biggest game. And it was an extra point. You cannot give up extra points against this Falcons team. This is something that Steven Gostkowski was dealing with an illness this past week. He's got to be there. He's got to be there mentally. He's got to be there physically. I don't know what I will do if it comes down to just a final last-second field goal by Gostkowski. But my question to you, if he makes it, does all fear of Gostkowski in the clutch just disappear?
I don't know if it disappears. Adam Vinatieri basically had 2 clutch kicks, maybe 3 if you want to count both the Oakland field goals in his first kind of postseason campaign. And then he had another one in another Super Bowl a couple of years later. So it's not like he became clutch overnight. The big knock on Ghost always has been he's not a clutch kicker. He had one actually last season against the Giants. That was it was like a 50-some-odd yarder to take the lead. That was a pretty clutch kick. But that's peanuts by comparison to what a potential game winner would be here. It would, however, while I wouldn't cement him as a clutch kicker, it would buy him a lot of leeway. And if he missed a bunch next season, I'd be a lot less mad at him. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, my favorite stat from Gostkowski is that in the 2014 Super Bowl run, he just had 1 field goal attempt the entire time. It was the least utilized a kicker has ever been in an NFL postseason with just 1 kick. And that was just amazing to me, or for a Super Bowl champion. And so he's already had 5 field goals so far. So he's in the clear there a little bit. He's in the black. But yeah, no, the Patriots just don't really feel too comfortable throwing him out there. I think a lot of people just go back to that 2007 season in the Super Bowl where the Patriots, I don't know, it was like a 48-yarder. And because Gostkowski had kicked a field goal or kicked a kickoff out of bounds, Belichick was like, well, we're gonna go for it, and that ended up being a big part of the game. So we'll see how he is. But the game, Alec, what's your prediction for the final score?
I'm going to give it to you in a minute, but I want to ask you, you're there in Houston, Rich. I'm not sure how much time you've had to interact with the fans as they start to trickle in for the game. Is there an early kind of lead for Patriots fans versus Falcon fans, popularity-wise or population-wise?
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. I know that it's the fan experience, and so clearly a lot of people from Houston. There's a ton of J.J. Watts around. There are a ton of them. But for my money, I would say that there are a lot more Patriots fans here than there are Falcons fans. That's not to say that there aren't Falcons fans, but I feel like for every Falcons fan I see 2 or 3 Patriots fans. So this could be very, very interesting for the crowd noise.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's actually a surprise. I figured the population of people who want the Patriots to win versus wanting to see the Patriots lose versus actual Falcons fans would be very disproportionate to the latter. But I'm glad to see the Pats fans are showing up. So good for you guys. As for my prediction, it is a Patriots Super Bowl, which means the following is going to definitely happen. It's going to be less than a 1-score game. I'm not going to have a second of fun for the entire thing until it's over. We're probably going to be able to point to 1 or 2 plays that were the deciding factor in the whole thing. Tom Brady will have the Patriots in position to win the game late, either with a chance to win it or he'll leave the field with the lead. The winning quarterback is probably going to get way more credit than he actually deserves, and the losing quarterback's going to get way more crap than he actually deserves. Those things I know for a fact. As for the score, I'm going to go with the exact same score as the 2014 Super Bowl, Seahawks Patriots 28-14. Excuse me, 28-24. New England comes out with a win on a late Tom Brady touchdown drive to Julian Edelman.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, my concern. What are the odds of yet another one-score Patriots Super Bowl? Right, this is crazy. This is
been 6.
Like, it's unbelievable. I think that like if you flipped a coin, people would be like, okay, chill out. This is getting unrealistic. This is like heads landing 6 times. I think that this is not going to be a one-score game. I think that this is going to break the streak. I think that this is the year where the Patriots have the best defense in the league from a points against standpoint. You have Tom Brady, who's the best quarterback in football history. You have a very, very well-balanced offense that can go toe-to-toe with anyone, which is helpful because, the Falcons have a historically great offense. I think that this is the time where the Patriots defense steps up. This is a game where Matt Patricia puts a feather in his cap. You look at what happened in the 2014 Super Bowl run. That was all Josh McDaniels, just going absolutely out of his mind. Really, really great everything. I mean, you look at how he handled the Ravens with the back-to-backs and the trick plays and the odd formations. And then he switched it up and just bulldozed the Colts. And then he had a quick passing attack against the Seahawks. He just changed it up every single week. That was Josh McDaniels' calling card. And if anyone wants to hire him, they'll point to that year. Matt Patricia's getting it this year, in my opinion, where you look at Matt Patricia. Yeah, they allowed 16 points to the Texans, but that's all on the offense's fault. Brady's interceptions, giving up the short field position, special teams. Matt Patricia did a pretty good job there. Same thing against the Steelers. And so I think that I just look at how everything has been playing out. I think that this is going to be a really great defensive performance by the Patriots, that this will be a game where they're like, I can't believe they stopped the Falcons and limited them to this amount. And so I think that at the end of it, Patriots are going to win this one 35-20.
I would love to know that you're right. I would just love to have myself in a situation where I'm watching a Super Bowl and enjoying myself in the fourth quarter. That'd be great at some point. Last question I have for you, Rich. Last question I have for you. As I mentioned earlier in the preview, the Patriots haven't trailed since November. It's been a long time since they've been playing from behind. This is a Falcons team that can score quickly. The Patriots have been known following a bye to be a little rusty coming out of the gate, take some time to acclimate, get themselves settled again. If this Patriots team gets smacked in the mouth, finds themselves down 10, maybe 14 points, are they capable of settling and coming back, or have they been playing with a lead for so long they've kind of forgotten how to do that kind of comeback Tom Brady style offense?
I have no doubt in my mind that if the Patriots needed a drive, Tom Brady would be capable of leading it. I think that that's just the big thing, is that they need a score, he'll deliver it. They haven't had to do it from behind, but there have been multiple times at the end of the season where they've needed a big play. Whether it was a response score against the Dolphins in the season finale, a response drive against the Texans or against the Steelers, and they've done it. And it hasn't been from a behind situation, but it's one where there's like the other team's getting momentum. We need something, and the Patriots have delivered. And so I think that this is going to be one of those times where Brady's going to deliver the drives without having to be behind to do it.
Here's hoping, man. Again, I hope this is a rare situation. Hope they win the toss, receive, go down and score right away, and they're playing from the lead the entire game. I think whoever scores first will have a control of how the game is dictated. And so if that's the Patriots, that'll make me very happy, as will the opportunity for our final post-game podcast of the season. Hopefully we're both in good moods when that happens.
I would love for that to be a good podcast for both of us. We will have more information on patspulpit.com. Feel free to check out our hub on all the Super Bowl news that you need. We've had over 100 articles in there, so you can be the most prepared Patriots fan at your party if you want to be. But until then, Alec, do you have any final thoughts on the Super Bowl or the season?
No, Rich, enjoy yourself down there. It's been a lot of fun breaking down these games with you. Looking forward to that final podcast. Hopefully looking forward to that final podcast. And you enjoy yourself down there.
All right, awesome. You have a good one, man. Later.
See ya.